what is a tactical one tip, like what one task that we can start applying today?
So if I can give you if I can give a tip that we haven't talked about so far, ask the executive at your company to show you their inbox. Reason being, and
Wow.
they might need to pull some things out that they don't want people to see, which is
Yeah.
fine. But I think we aren't in the shoes of a buyer. We don't see like the I hope you're well thing. We don't see that because no one's emailing us saying I hope you're well. We're always just being told to do shit. So ask them to see and ask them on an ongoing basis and then say, what like is there any email that really stood out to you for good reason? We have access to people within our organizations often that do the role that we're reaching out to, and we don't tap them. And more often than not, they're happy to do it because it's like one of those things that executives love complaining about. So I think be really curious around what does it look like for the customer on the receiving end. Find a happy customer. If like you're selling into hotels and you don't have anybody at your company that like works in a hotel, ask a happy customer, hey, could you show me what your inbox looks like? Just so I understand like what we're competing with in terms of time and capacity.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Customer Success Talks, Real Challenges, Experts Advice, the podcast dedicated to helping those transitioning into customer success and early career customer success managers. I'm your host, Byron Toruño, and just like you, I'm still learning about this amazing world of customer success. And today is not the exception. Today we have another great episode with another amazing guest who's going to bring a lot of years of experience into this conversation. And we will be talking about writing emails. So in CS, emails is part of our day-to-day job, not only answering them and what it comes to the organizing our inbox and which emails to answer first, which ones later, how to also reach customers. There's just too much, but the focus is on the content of it itself. Today, we will be talking about how to write emails that receive an answer or gets responded and see how we can influence that as much as possible. Many times we have to send massive emails with automation. Also, that's part of it. And today we have an amazing guest who has experience on this. And interesting enough, it's an 18 years experienced seller. So let me give you a little bit more of who am I talking about? Today we have with us Jen Jen Allen-Kanuth, better known as the man Jen, founder and sales trainer with, like I said, 18 years as a frontline seller before one day waking up and say, today's the day. Founder of the man Jen, and now runs sales kickoff training programs and workshop that teaches teams how to turn no decisions into yes. And one of those keynotes presentation is where I met Jen. I just wanted to reach out to you, Jen, sit down and invite you to the episode. And now we are here. Thank you so much for that. And welcome to Customer Success Talks.
Thank you. I absolutely loved the way you approached the conversation after that conference in Sassia. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, that was almost 5 weeks ago. That's
I
how
know
time flies.
it does.
You're now back home?
I'm back home, Chicago suburbs, no travel until kickoff season starts in January. So I am happy to be away from planes for a bit.
Jen, when I was doing a research about you and your career, I also saw that you call yourself a non-motivational speaker. Why is that? What does that mean?
So if you think about how most kickoffs, sales kickoffs, revenue kickoffs are set up, there's this underlying idea that we have to motivate the sales team. And that's 100% true. Like we need to be our best. We have to feel energized and excited to do our job. But what I always found interesting as a seller who sat through 18 kickoffs is when a company would bring in someone who doesn't work at the organization to try and motivate their sales team, right? So it's like, here's the dude that climbed Mount Everest and let's all listen to his story. And no knock against it. They're always interesting stories. But when I would get back to my desk, I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this, right? Like, did he write a cold
Yeah.
email at the top when he got to the top of Mount Everest? If not, like, what is the transferable lesson? And so to me, motivation should always come from within the company, right? I need to feel motivated in the sense that I have a strong belief system that what we solve for matters, that our solution delivers great outcomes for customers, that my leadership team cares about our customers, that they care about me. Like that to me is the source of motivation. Your external speaker, it's just an odd thing to me that we would try to drive motivation from someone externally. So I'm more about don't use an external speaker to drive motivation. Use them to empower sellers to say, we want to give you new ideas to old problems or new ideas to new problems. And that's where I think you can really come in. But I used to get requests all the time. Can you come in and do a motivational talk? I'm like, I could, but is anyone going to do anything
You're
different?
gonna
And so
change
they try to break
lives now.
it. Exactly.
And based on what I hear, Jen, is that given all of those tools, all of those ideas, that's already also impacting that motivational side.
Yes, because I think such a big part of any commercial role, whether we're talking about new logo sales, renewals, CSM, you name it, is a belief system that I can do it. And oftentimes, I think one of the things that kept me in a frontline selling role for 18 years is things kept changing. Things kept getting harder. Buyers kept changing. And so there was always another thing to learn. Or if you look at it from a negative point of view, another thing that I sucked at this year. And so I do believe at a sales kickoff, it's so important that we make sellers feel like you can do this. You can climb this hill. Here's a way to think about it. And then we encourage you to make it your own. So I think motivation is an outcome, but it's more about motivating through empowerment.
Love that. In the presentation in 5 weeks ago,
Mhm.
approximately, Jen, in Amsterdam, your keynote was called "Building and Converting Pipeline in the Shiny Object Era." And interesting enough, in CS, there's also a lot of that overlaps when it comes to sales, right? But it's just about the framing and the moment on the customer journey. So it will be an interesting topic to talk about in another day. But when in that keynote, I sat down, I saw your amazing public speaking skills, but then also something that caught my attention was one word that you use and that it just exploded in my mind,
Hmm.
which was intention. You
Hmm.
talk about what is the intention when sending an email. So why is that so important when it comes to even like, would that be even the first step before writing an email?
That's a great and interesting observation and not the word I thought you were going to say. I think it absolutely matters as a step one. I like the way you phrase that because it is so easy when you're in a job where you are measured by some sort of performance metric like we are, right? Like for me, when I was an AE, it was how many, dollars of net new revenue did you sell? When you're measured by a performance metric, it becomes so easy to get sucked into your own vortex where you're thinking about how do I achieve that metric? How do I achieve that metric? And the person, the human, and the receiving end of that email becomes secondary to your own goal and outcome. And so I think when I was at points in my sales career where I was really behind goal or having rough quarters, I even noticed in myself, it was so easy to slip into that mindset where I'm like, I need to book a meeting. So I write an email that's all about why they should take a meeting with me, which is so self-serving and so obvious to the person on the receiving end
Yeah.
versus sitting back and saying, let me think critically about this account and say, what would be in it for them to take a meeting? What's happening in their organization that might be causing pain or might be making something harder? And I am always at my best when my intention is to be thoughtful about the person receiving email. I am always at my worst when my intention is to achieve my goal. Like my goal is a byproduct of doing the other thing very well.
I think that also since I heard that, I sit down and now I write emails. It's like, okay, my intention is to reach this goal, but I also want the intention for it to be read when I know that my stakeholder is someone that is so busy at the hotel. I think that that's also comes with the intention of how I ask the questions or how to prompt is definitely the key to start.
Yeah. And I think we'll probably talk more about it, but I think particularly when you've got a long list of objectives or things that you want to achieve, becomes so easy just to put all those things in the email. And then it's like, we as humans, we hate effort. And so if I look at an email and it's 5 paragraphs long, my immediate reaction, if I'm an executive, is like, I just don't have time for this. I don't have time to read your sermon on what you think I need to be doing and why it's important to you. So I agree with you. I think particularly when you're trying to engage an executive audience, because we have rarely been executives as salespeople and CSMs, we don't know what it's like. So we do these things with positive intention, not realizing the recipient is in a very different circumstance than we are.
Mm. Crazy. You said we hate effort.
We
There,
do.
yeah.
There's a literal like psychological principle called the law of least effort where it says, and it's one of the reasons we have evolved so much as humans is because if you think about like if I'm trying to get from here to here, and I don't know if people will see the video. So if I'm getting from point A to point B, a straight line is the fastest path. So even if the road is like the edge of a triangle or of a rectangle, I will probably take a shortcut because the shortcut allows me to get there faster. And that's a good thing for our species. It is a terrible thing for sales because we are very selfish about what makes our job easier often before we think about what makes the other person's job easier. So it's a place where we actually have to interrupt that like very natural human tendency to think about if I am trying to elicit an outcome, I
Mhm.
have to think about what makes the lowest amount of effort for them, even if it means more effort for me. And that's a big core part to how I teach writing emails.
But that's so, it is so complicated because you want to say so many things that that are important and can catch the reader attention, but at the same time, you want them to actually go beyond the first two lines. And I
Hmm.
think something that you said back in your keynote was about AI and how AI is creating more skeptical people.
It is removing the excuse of I don't have time to. It's like I am very much a skeptic around AI just because it's an easy button like a lot of technology before. And I think there's good ways to use it and wrong ways to use it. But in my opinion, one of the reasons people don't write really thoughtful outreach is because it's always taken too long. Now, like a great piece of outreach at the very beginning should make it very clear to the reader why, like what's in it for you, right? So if I am researching using AI, an account, I can ask it, let's say I'm targeting a CRO. I can say, who is the CEO or founder of this account? And what are their most recent interviews on the company's growth strategy? And then in like 37 seconds, ChatGPT will spit out a bunch of citations of what the CEO is talking about. That allows me to now think about what are the implications of those business objectives on my stakeholder. So if this company's CEO is saying, we just got a bunch of Series C funding and we're going to use that to go up market. We've traditionally been in small business, mid market, and now we're going to build out an up market team. Those 37 seconds of research now mean I don't have to be like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. CRO, what are you working on? Like, what are your priorities? I should know,
Mm,
right? Like, that
yeah.
person is absolutely going to be thinking through how do we make this upmarket motion work? And so I think that's the difference. It's now there's a giant wedge between people who will take the 37 seconds to do that and those who won't, right? These folks who won't, their job is easier short term. Their job is harder long term. These folks, the job is harder short term, the job is easier long term. So it's like we got to talk ourselves out of this desire to make the job and to be done in front of us easy because often when we try to make something easier short term, it ends up hurting us later.
I love that. I never thought about doing that research in ChatGPT of like I can assume based on as a CSM, I can assume what the customer what's in it for them based on what other customers with similar sizes, benchmark they are looking for. But I never thought about going one step beyond into actually doing a research based on either the CEO or what are the plans or what are the company's latest news, or maybe I already have that info on previous notes that I have on the call. But if not, I think that's super interesting to hear. I never thought it, and it sounds really easy actually.
It's super easy. And the things that you get back, the other benefit too, versus, how we used to do it was like digging through annual reports and all this stuff, is that stuff's all written in corporate speak. Now, with how many companies are leaning into content marketing or founder led marketing, you don't have to have big public companies. Even if you have private Series A companies, their founders are often out there talking and they're talking in plain English. And that
Mm.
is more helpful than like dissecting a corporate like investory presentation. So that prompt really helps me. And even for a CSM where maybe I have notes from when they originally bought 6 months ago, But now, let's say a major event has happened. What if there's been like a hostile takeover attempt by a competitor? What if there's been a leadership shift? Like one of the things I empathize a lot with CSMs is many are managing such a large book of business. It is so difficult to stay on top of all these things. Now you can set up triggers in ChatGPT to say, here's my account list. I want you on a weekly basis to run this prompt for all of these accounts and kind of like generate a summary at the end of the week. So it's being fed to me instead of me having to manually do it. So I think
Mm,
it's so important. Like right now, I think before you could get away with just like, these are industry trends. Right now, think about even being a consumer. We have this expectation that I am treated as one. Like, I don't care what others like me. You think about others like me. I think I care about like me and what's happening in my business specifically. And so I think it's just AI has made that so much easier to do with prompts like that.
do you have any prompt that you would like to release today? Like any secret one, the most
Oh,
powerful
secret. I
one?
share all my secrets. So I always do that one first because every executive that sits under the CEO will be executing on the CEO's objectives, right? So that helps me understand big picture. Then to click down, the second prompt I'll do is what would be hard about being the title, insert their title there, of company name right now? And right now is important because what right now is going to do is it's going to pull in all relative company events and occurrences that are going on. And then it's going to give you a hypothesis along with source data around what might be difficult for my stakeholder, not specific to my category, which is the important part. But like,
Mhm.
let's say I'm selling to an accounts payable person in finance and I'm selling an accounts payable solution. If I do that prompt, it will tell me, hey, the company just, made a move into the German market. And now there's all sorts of new legislation and there's differences in how we like pay and compensate our employees. And so that's going to make the job of accounts payable harder than if they just, sit in the States, for example. And
Huh.
so all of that contextualizes what is going on for my buyer. So now I can start to say, how do I link back to their challenges? That's what I think being truly customer first is about. It's, I see this happening, got me thinking this might be harder. I have an idea of how we might be able to help you with that thing that might feel harder now. But we can't do that if we don't do that research going into the call because we end up showing up to the call just with our hands out being like, how can we help? And like,
Yeah.
think about anytime you've ever been in a crisis, someone's like, how can I help? You're like, dude, I don't know. Like I'm in the middle of it right now. So it's just, it's well intentioned, but it's somewhat useless because
Mm,
what your buyer wants is come to me with an idea, not ask me for the idea and then you fulfill it 2 weeks later.
yeah. This is what I have for you based on what I have. This is what I have for you. Let me know if this is actually impactful for you because at least you're already bringing something proactively. And it's so funny how you are talking about the research and not even yet about the action. Like we're first one step back, not
Yes.
yet into the content itself.
Yes. That's the thing that will make doing this easy. I don't think when we get to the email, I don't think you can write the emails that I'm going to talk about if you don't do the research. But that is like I don't know. I just think sometimes we lose our decency a little bit in commercial roles.
Mm,
Like, if there was someone you were really excited to meet, would you ever just show up totally blind and be like, dude, loved you on that TV show. Like, what else you got going on? We would never do that. But because it becomes very transactional, especially in high volume environments, we treat our clients that way. People who have paid us money, who have given us their time, and we treat it like a transaction. And then we wonder, like, why are accounts churning? It's like, well, someone else paid more attention to them. It's no
yeah,
different
there's
than dating.
someone quicker over there. Let me, Jen, I have a couple of emails examples here today that I
Yay.
would love to hear. Let's make this even more practical.
Let's do it.
Um, there are three emails, right? One is that you shared in your presentation. So I would love to go and hear your perspective about this. Other two is some of them, two that I already wrote. And I did this back before even hearing your keynote and before even planning this. I made some changes to it just because, okay, some are work related. But I would love to receive feedback and maybe also improve my writing, but also help others. So let's start with the one that you showed in your keynote presentation.
Eh, By the way, while you're pulling it up, I just love the emotional intelligence of being like, let me put my work out there. That is like the sign of a good one.
Yeah, it's scary, but that's how we learn.
But yeah, that's how we learn. I'm no different. I had the same experience.
Let me see. There we go. So this is the first one, right? We're sending to Ben. So just before even reading this and before just analyzing it, what is your first thing here? What caught your attention that it's being done or can be changed?
Subject line, preview text. Preview text is the first line of text. So this is like, and a lot of this is going to be intentionally unlearning things we have all been taught to do. And the reason for that is when we are all taught to do something, it becomes a predictable pattern. And when I was at Lavender, so after Challenger, I went to a company called Lavender. They analyzed 2 billion cold emails to look for things that help or hurt reply rates, like really good research there. One of the terms they taught me was this idea of a buyer's mental spam filter. And what that
Mm.
means is when a buyer is in their inbox, like not even in the email yet, just their inbox, what they see is your subject line and then the first 6 or 7 words of text. So before we even get them here, they're evaluating, does this thing sound like a cold email? Does this thing sound like I could ignore it? And the research shows they do that in less than 3 seconds from the inbox view. So not every individual email. They're looking at their inbox and in 3 seconds, they're like, okay, I can scroll down or I can hit delete. In the email, we get about 9 seconds, which is down from 10 seconds a few years ago. So the thing that we have to put ourselves in the shoes of is, what am I doing here that is signaling to my buyer that this is a cold email? So the first thing is the subject line. Now, this is a subject line I see all the time, and that's kind of the point. Elevate your procurement strategy with Acme's data-driven insights. If I read nothing else, what do I think this email is going to be about?
About selling?
A sales pitch, right? It's elevate your procurement strategy. That is a sales tonality, right? It's also very long versus executives. If you look at how executives write emails, they tend to write subject lines that are between 1 and 3 words because executives have way better things to do than we as sellers who spend lots of time thinking about our subject line. They don't think about that. They're not like, what do I like? The example I use a lot is if you're a sales manager wanted you to go in and update your forecast. They would never write a subject line that says, elevate your forecast accuracy with Salesforce.com, right? They would
Just
never
change
write
it. Change
that.
forecast.
Update forecast. It would be that. So half the battle is looking like we belong. And this, I see this all the time. We've all been taught to write subject lines this way. The length hurts us. The tonality hurts us. And so I would always say, write the email first and then come up to the subject line at the end and say, what's actually the most
Mm.
boring way I can put this in 1 to 3 words that sounds like something someone would be emailing them about internally? Not to be manipulative, but to be respectful of their inbox. So that's subject line.
Yeah, and just to add here, Jen, it's interesting how when it comes to the subject, like I finish writing my email and then I go to the subject, and sometimes either I'm doing it wrong in ChatGPT or it's just that ChatGPT is not the best one for giving subject lines because it makes it sound so flat and boring and long. So I just try to do, let's see the other examples, but normally I try to do something like, uh, the person's name and something else related to, or something that is so uncommon, I will say. And it can be risky because it can be seen as non-professional too. So it's like I don't know, it's like a balance there.
Well, I will tell you, first names, that was another thing I was taught. Always put first names. That has now become an obvious trigger for mental spam filter. Look at your junk email in your personal inbox. All of them are
Oh,
like, Jen, the way to tell someone you're writing a personal email just to them is through the body. It's not through adding their name. And so I should be able to tell because the body only makes sense to me that this is an email for me. If you go in your inbox, like I get tons of emails about Viagra. I don't know why. I'm not their target client, but it's always like,
oops.
Jen looking to improve performance in the bedroom. And I'm like, no, no. But so we're trained to now look at that as that's a marketing play, right? So that worked very well 5 years ago. But now I think Lavender's data said it reduces the likelihood of an open by like 12%.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's a tell. So subject line's hard, but to your point, do not use ChatGPT to write your subject line because what has ChatGPT been trained on? all of the emails that have existed before, right? So it will write the way we've all learned to write, and we're trying to break that. So I
Yeah.
like that call out. The second thing is the preview text. So this is the siren song of a cold email is starting with some form of, I hope this message finds you well. Like I rarely say never or always because I think nothing always works, nothing never works. This
Yeah.
is my one exception. Your buyer, and I've done this with buyers. I'll say screenshot your inbox, pull out anything someone can't see, and show people the preview text of all the cold emails. It's almost always, I hope you're well. I hope your quarter went well. I hope your holidays are well. I hope you're doing well. And I know why I used to do it is because I wanted to soften. Like, I'm like, let me show you I'm kind. And now I'm going to come in with an ask. But when everybody does it, it just looks like I don't even need to read the rest of the email. I know it's going to be a cold email.
So let me recap this because I think I was taking notes and I want to make sure I have it right. So
Yeah.
you said that I hope this message finds you well is something that is best not to use in the pre.
Ever,
Okay.
ever. Ever, ever, ever. If it pains you to your core, drop it down right below your signature and say, like, either way, I hope you're well. But it's just, and I tell you, I manually review thousands and thousands of cold emails for my workshops.
Mm-hmm.
I would estimate that probably 80 to 85% of cold emails start with some form of I hope you're well. So it's just like, it's a tell to your reader and it doesn't add anything.
Do I really hope that?
That's another good question.
You
Like, if
know,
we're honest, we're like, I hope you respond. That's what we're really saying.
exactly. I hope you actually read it and respond and buy it.
Yeah.
I have heard cases where people just leave that, like you said at the end. They go straight forward to the ask, to what is really important. Like what is like anything can be not read except this piece of text. What do you think about that?
So I disagree. So there's a logic when I'm writing an email, which is like the first line of text should answer the question in the reader's mind of why are you emailing me and why are you emailing me right now specifically? And so when I write my emails, I'm always starting with what caused me to reach out to this person at the time in their terms. So going back to what we said before, if it was like that company that's moving up market, I would start that email with saw CEO speak about the move up market because now it's connecting in the mind of the reader with very low effort. Okay, this email is about moving up market. Like that's the act that the reader is doing. They're trying to classify. What is this? Do I need to look at it? Can I forward it? Can I delete it? So if I don't get to the point about what they are doing first and make it about them, it's just going to sound like every other cold email. So if I start with like, I work for so and so and my goal is to find 30 minutes on your calendar, they're like, cool for you, nothing in there for me, right? So we have to start with what is it that their company is doing from that prompt I talked about that prompted us to reach out.
That sounds a lot like the analogy that comes to my mind, Jen, is like if you're in a bus and you go to the same direction every day from point A to point B and there's a tree. You don't see the tree because you're used to it. But the moment that the tree is not there, there's something different in your metrics. So I think that that's what we're looking in the emails. Like, how can we break that metrics for it to be more like
Yeah.
highlighting from the rest?
Yes, exactly. I love that analogy. Analogies are a great way to learn, by the way. I'm a big fan of them. So then if we move forward in the sentence, so a couple things. One, we tend to write the way that we learn to write in school. So lots of
Mm,
complex sentences that are long and commas. So look at the second sentence. Across the globe, comma. Companies like First Ventures are leveraging Acme to elevate their procurement strategies. Whenever we use a comma with a sentence opener like that, it's a context switch. That's effort for the reader. Now I need to pause, pick back up again for the second part of your sentence. Instead, we should actually write, and there's cultural nuances here, so obviously default to your culture, but we should write more like we text because when we're texting, we're busy, right? And we're not writing
mhm.
like we write English papers. That's how executives often write and read emails is get to the point. So when we use complex sentence structure, we're just increasing the effort. The more effort, the lower likelihood they read it. So across the globe doesn't add anything, right? I would just kill that part completely. The second thing is when I say, and this is something that again has been taught to us a lot, companies like First Ventures. I hate that phrasing. I used to use it all the time because
Uh-huh.
what I'm saying is, you're not special. I've decided you're just like everybody else because you're just like
Ah,
these other, and I don't know why, as the reader, you think I'm like other people. Like, how did you define what I'm like? Right. So it's such a small nuanced thing, but it goes back to what I said before. It's like, get to the N of one. What is it that you see about them? And then you don't have to send as many emails because you're getting a higher value, like recipient attachment rate. So this first sentence is all about you, or second sentence is all about you. These other companies are using us to elevate their procurement strategies. Cool for them.
yeah.
What's in it for me? So that's preview text and subject line.
What about the content itself? What about those bullet points?
Yes. So bullet points are us telling ourselves we're doing too damn much in the email. Like when I go in and I add a bullet point, it's me saying, oh, wow, there's a lot of text here. I've got to visually interrupt it. That is our sign. And I used to use bullets all the time. I'm doing too damn much. And here's why we do it. If you read this email, it's a pitch of your value prop,
Yeah.
right? Now, when you watch a TV show and it's recorded, do you sit and watch every commercial throughout the TV show?
No.
Okay, so why do we think someone is going to take time out of their day to read our commercial? This is like all of this is true. And
Oh, I see what you
you know
mean.
what I mean? And if it's at the point where someone's like, what do you do? Fine. But all of this is about you. At Acme, we do this. Here's how we help our customers. We do these 4 things. I'd be happy to. Like, of course, we'd be happy to schedule a quick demo. We get incentivized for that, right? This whole email is something I call the wee problem, where we talk all about ourselves and we expect someone to care. And the analogy I use is like if you showed up to a date. So I met my husband from an online dating service. And that person sat down and is like, I won class president in high school and I can do 15 push-ups. And I am like, these 5 people think I am the coolest friend ever. You would be so checked out because you're like, this person is obsessed with themselves. They have no interest in me. Cold emails are no different. It's our first impression.
I used to think about bullet points, Jen. I love how you break this down because it's something that I tend to use a lot because in my mind, bullet points is the most organized way of presenting something. But then is what is in it instead of, or like, are you saying that we should not, do you recommend not to use that or use
Yeah.
it in a different way, like more what's
Don't
in
use
it for
bullets.
them?
Full
Not at
stop.
all.
Don't use bullets because it's you telling yourself I'm doing too much. And the reader looks at it and says, again, for a busy executive, they're like, we got bullet points. This thing is too long. Like a great email is not saying everything about, like right now, we're talking about gaining unparalleled visibility in the freight market, optimizing air and freight spending, increasing productivity. Like we're just, and I used to do this. I call it the kitchen sink. I'm throwing out everything in the hopes that something sticks instead of writing an email that has an explicit intention of this
Mm,
is what I see you trying to achieve. This is what I think might be harder. And I have an idea on this one thing. The reason sellers often have hard times writing second, third, and fourth emails is because we put everything into email 1 and then we're like, well, I don't have
yeah.
anything left to say, right? Take one idea rule, one idea. So why is it that this is a manufacturing company? What do you think is happening in their business that's making it harder for them to get visibility into the freight market? Write about that, right?
Mm,
Like, don't pitch your solution because people don't buy solutions to problems they don't think they have. And this is something I and many of us get backwards. We lead with our solution in the hopes that it makes someone feel like they have a problem. That's not that's not how we work, right?
okay.
We seek out solutions when we believe we have a problem we're solving and we're solving now. The job of a cold email is to solve for that job. Do I have a problem we're solving and we're solving now? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not going to sell you on it in the email, but I'm trying to provoke curiosity around that question.
Interesting. Like a bit of FOMO type of answer me. Make it easy so
Yeah,
I can
like
answer. Then you have me engaged for the rest of the conversation.
exactly. We're not
Huh.
doing a whole sermon in an email because 1, it's boring to read, and 2, it's just like we haven't given the customer a reason to care.
Is there any other section here that is important to touch? Because I'm also using bullet points in one of my examples, but I really want to like make sure that this is already broken down.
Yeah.
Is there
So
anything else?
the close. So are you ready to take your procurement operations to the next level? Again, super salesy language. We all use it.
Are
Nobody
you?
is like getting incentivized or promoted for taking it to the next level. That's like sales speak 101 there.
Yeah.
we have to establish a burning platform. Like, is there pressure to meet a cost savings goal for this business? Did tariffs throw off their profitability? Like, are they? So we have to be very careful of like the sales stuff that sounds good to us. How do we make this more in their language, what we could imagine them hearing in a CEO meeting? And then I touched on it briefly, but I'd love to is a statement about what we want. So it's a selfish statement. I'd be happy to schedule a quick demo. That's another word in there I don't like is quick. We make the sentence longer by adding quick. We also sound like we're diminishing it. So if I say, I just want a quick 15 minutes versus I want to like, let's talk for 15 minutes. There's a difference in that, right? Like I'm almost like apologizing for asking of your time. That doesn't give a lot of confidence to the reader that you think that what you have to say is important. So kill quick, kill I'd love to,
Ah,
kill I'd be happy to.
let's do
And
it. That's the call
instead,
to action.
yeah, and instead, I actually don't I prefer not asking for a meeting. Like I prefer asking for interest to say open to hearing how this other company approached this. Tee up the meeting, not necessarily as a demo, because once you like as a buyer, once you say yes to a demo, you're sucked into somebody's sales cycle. And so I
Yeah.
think as a buyer, you sit there and you're like, do I want a demo? I don't know. Let me go do some research. And then you talk yourself out of it because we're jumping to the end quickly. Like it's good for us if they want a demo, because now I can be like, I got a demo. But
And the
then,
customers know that, Jen.
yeah,
They're so experienced. So many people want something from them.
yes, they know. Right. And so I don't want to get into this back and forth. So lower the pressure. Like, looks like you are sourcing materials from this country. Not sure if the recent tariffs have made an impact on the cost of goods there or the cost of getting them from A to B. This other company was looking for creative ways to reduce, top line expenses. Would you be open to hearing what they did? Right. That doesn't feel like a sales pitch. That feels more like I have ideas from being experienced in this field and I want to share them with you. If that leads to a conversation about our solution, sick. But like, I'm not asking for the marriage on before the first date.
Yeah, giving the kiss on the first date.
Yeah.
Jen, let's go into one of the examples that I brought. So I
Perfect.
would love to hear your perspective on this one.
Cool.
I already found some red flags, but well, let's do it.
All right, let's hear what your red flag observations are first before I do
Yes,
it.
this is the one. So my first red flag here, Jen, are the bullet points.
Okay.
I could have just deleted this part and make the email shorter.
Okay.
My intention with this email was to make a cold sell. This is an existing customer. My intention was to expand for them to buy another product. And I started with, I hope you're well, also.
Good. Good call out.
And I write the email myself. I think on the intention, I write my email and then I go through it, ChatGPT, and then I reread it and reorganize and so on. I have seen that ChatGPT, it adds in bold some keywords. So that I like. I
No.
also tell them to use persuasion tactics in the prompt. So those are the red flags that I see, like the I hope you're well and the bullet points.
Bold is also a sign that it's a sales email. Like, what executive do you know is going through and formatting their email like that? Right? They're quick. These are all marketing tactics that we've been taught. And I also don't want to be persuasive. And this is very counterintuitive.
Oh, okay.
Because if I am persuading, I'm convincing. When I say the word convince, what what feeling do you have? If I'm like, I'm going to have so and so come in and convince you to do X, are you
Um,
excited or not excited for that?
maybe you want to manipulate me?
Yeah, yeah, right. Like I'm going to pressure you, which is what people
Yeah.
hate about talking to salespeople. Nobody wants to feel pressured, and we love to pressure people. So I actually want to be more indifferent in my tonality because if I am trying to sell you something, all of a sudden our guard goes up. And so
Mm.
I think you made excellent call outs on this thing. This subject line is way better than the last one, by the way. But look at that second sentence here. Since you're already seeing benefits of this, I wanted to see how easy it slips in there. I wanted
Ah,
to, this is
yeah.
about me, suggest a natural next step to help you unlock even more value from us, which is about me, adding this product to your upselling strategy. I am pitching a product or solution before framing a problem. that order is not correct, right? I have to give problem first, reason to change, then introduce the solution. I used to do the same stuff. So please, I hope I'm like delivering this in a way that's not feeling like I'm attacking you. I just have passion because this is
Yeah.
exactly how I wrote emails too. And so, and then the next section goes into here's all about this product and why it's great. And then these other hotels are using it to do all of these amazing things. I'm selling the value. And then I'd be happy to, here it is again, walk you through what it would look like for your hotel. Instead, what if we just said, like, what is the problem that makes someone value pre-stay, right? Like, giving them the chance to personalize their stay ahead of time, whether it's upgrading their room or adding services. So, like, I imagine being a hotel right now is incredibly difficult because you've got competition from Airbnbs. You've got competitions from maybe this particular hotel is in an area where 3 other hotels have just recently been built. And so now they might be in a situation where it's much more competitive for them to bring in guests to their property. So they might be looking at what are all the competitive advantages we could have? Well, if we can give someone the control without having to talk to a desk agent about personalizing their stay in advance, maybe that gives us an advantage over hotels that don't do that. So it's like, that's what I
Um,
mean by putting it in their words. Look at what's happening to them and their business and consider the problem before we pitch a solution.
can you please repeat the formula? So you said problem and then something and then solution. What's the second part?
So it's problem, negative consequence of that problem,
Ah,
solution.
negative consequence. So interesting because if we go back to what you said about I want to, um, when I write it, I'm really conscious about this, and now everything is my bubble is being just destroyed.
I've been there, man. I used to write 300-word emails. I had bullets, I had bold, I had logos, I had everything. So I relate to it, but it's a cool feeling, isn't it? Right? Because I think the hardest thing about writing emails like this is we just don't have confidence. We're doing our best. We're so well intentioned, but like we're writing blind half the time. So
Yeah.
it made me more confident in prospecting when I just felt like, okay, I know not to say this or not to do this, and here's the structure, and I'm gonna play around with it. It's not gonna be perfect, and that's okay, and nothing is gonna work for everybody, but like confidence is half the battle.
Let's go to the third and last one, Jen.
Yep.
Unless you have something to add on
Nope.
this one. No,
Nope, that's great.
just one more because the intention here is different. Now, this is a customer who hasn't answered my emails before. So I wanted to go a little bit as for what I thought was a bit more aggressive with let me try again. That's my first call out here. And also, I can see here where I use a lot of I. Hi, Jen. I just tried. I wanted. And I use I wanted because I want to also bring a bit of authority of I'm the person who can help you as well. That's my intention. Maybe it's not shown like that. But what do you think about this email where the intention is to actually call your attention?
Yeah. So natural tendency, I get it, but this feels like a parent scolding a child. Like there's a saying
Mm,
I learned from a manager that says you can be right and still wrong. And what it means is you're right to reach out to them because they are missing an opportunity. So you're doing your job. But we can be wrong in our delivery because what we often lack is empathy. So when I am reaching out to a customer, when I was an account manager, when I was reaching out to a customer who was ghosting me, my first desire was to send this. And then I would step back and say, there's probably a reason that they are not responding to me. And if I
yeah.
make it safe for them to tell me what's going on, I am more likely to get to the truth. Now, the truth might not be the answer I want to hear, but that's okay. Because my job here is not to sell them because I'm pushing away. Like I'm pushing you, right? I'm pushing you to do something. If they wanted to do it, they would have done it. So now I need to stop, pause, and say, let me just seek to get to the truth. And so what I like to do is there's another human tendency to correct. So if I ask you, hey, what are your priorities? Versus if I ask you, hey, it looks like your priority is to, I don't know, increase revenue from breakfast. If that's not their priority, the person will be more likely to respond to correct me because it's easier to correct than do a big open field inform.
That's so
And so it's
cool
the
and
same
powerful.
philosophy. What I'll do here is I'll say, you know, um, I would say, seems like there are pending deals in the dashboard. not sure if you haven't had the ability to focus on this because I don't know, like there's been a big convention that came through and you guys were swamped, like whatever it is. But give an idea that isn't a finger point, that isn't like, because you just couldn't do your damn job, right? Because then someone's going to get defensive, but give them an out. And then when you make it safe for them to be like, you know what, dude, like I've been totally ignoring you. I'm sorry. Like you are more likely to get that reply than if you double down and say, you're the reason you're leaving revenue on the table. And it's like, I get where that comes from, but it's such an accusatory thing. And we
Mm,
hear enough shit in our lives. Like, we just don't need to hear more from someone we barely know. Right. So I think anytime we feel like the tone is finger pointy, we're probably harming the relationship for the sake of us achieving like a goal that we have. So I would say give them an out clause. Not sure if it's been tough to action this because this and this have been going on. Either way, I have a couple ideas and just make it seem like a low pressure thing. Because anytime someone's like not responding, I'm assuming that their life is crazy. And the last
yeah.
thing they want is to add to that.
The last thing I want is to take it personal and show that to in the email as well.
Hmm.
Oh my God. It's just so interesting what you're saying. The way of like, instead of asking, yes, you can assume and then just be validated based on that.
Yep. And it's assumption with this will be confusing, but assumption with unsure tonality. So unsure tonality is not sure if, seems like maybe. Like you're inviting the opportunity to be correct, but you are making an assumption in the second half. If you
Mhm.
say, "You must be too busy to respond," that has like it's like, I don't like to be told what I'm like, but if I say, "Not sure if," then I can be like, then I can correct you.
Yeah. Ah,
Isn't that
there's so
fun?
many things that are connecting now.
But there's a
So
lot of I wanna call it there's a lot of great ingredients in this email, because what you're doing really well in this email is giving an idea, and that, I think, matters more than anything else. It's like, I have an idea of what I want to like, of something that I think could be useful to your business. So the core underlying message here is good. It's just your delivery, right? And when
yeah,
you say, "Let me try it again," and "I tried calling you and I wasn't able to reach you," it's like, we know what we're doing there. We're trying to guilt trip someone into a reply. That's
yeah,
never an effective way to get a reply.
yeah, yeah. They know. They know.
Yeah, they
They know.
know. They know. Make it safe. Make a joke, right? Like people are humans at the end of the day. But that email is, I think, a great example of like thinking about their business first and putting it in their context. That's something I didn't see in the first two emails.
Got it. Thank you so much, Jen, for taking the
Thank
time of
you.
going through those three emails, being
Yeah.
here with us. Time already is here, and we have
I
to,
know.
let people
Digest.
digest all of it and then rewind and go back. But there are two more questions that I have.
Go.
Um, and I should have asked this at the beginning, but I still want to ask it now because I think that it's going to be valuable for people to know why are you called Demand Gen and
So
how do you help through your company?
yeah. So demand gen, I mentioned I was throwing myself under the bus a lot. I used to write terrible emails. I hated prospecting like many AEs. And I remember walking into my sales manager's office years ago. And I sat down and I was like, I'm getting 3 leads a month. Like, what is marketing doing? They need to be sending me more leads. I can't hit my goal on this target. And he sat there and he listened. And then when I was done complaining, he was like, You're not wrong. You should get more leads. But even if I walk down the hall and tell marketing, you need to give her more leads, you and I both know that's not going to change.
Yeah.
So you have a choice. Use our one on one to sit here and complain to me about the leads you should be getting or not, or figure out what you can do about it to impact your performance. Because at the end of the year, it's your number. No one's going to listen to your excuse. And I was like, that's not the answer that I wanted.
Oof.
So it set me off and said, all right, I can't be like expecting to hit my number with my hand out waiting for someone to feed me. And so this is when I started getting really passionate about prospecting and figuring out what am I doing wrong and learning this stuff. And then I got really good at it. And so when I quit Challenger, my boss at the time said, you have done such a great job of generating demand for yourself as a salesperson. You would be a fool if you don't name your company Demand
Oh.
Gen. And I was like, no way,
Oh.
that's the best idea. So I did not come up with
But you
it.
didn't come with that idea before.
Yes, it was such a money idea. So now I do like what we just did here is very similar to what I do with sellers. I think we learn best when we're not talking about theory, but when we're looking at our actual own work product and we're rewriting it and doing it. So I run a lot of cold email workshops, discovery workshops, selling to big enterprise company workshops. which means I'm on the field in the field with sellers a lot. And that's my place of joy.
I think that in 18 years, you have messed up so many times as well.
Yes. And that's what I teach. Like, I hate sales trainers that are like, you should always book a next call and you should do this. And it's like, that's just not the reality. We all are imperfect and we're doing our best. And I don't believe that pointing the finger at someone ever makes us be better. I think it should feel like, hey, here's someone who's really passionate about wanting me to get better. And they're going to
Yeah,
give me the hard truths that I might not want to hear. But if I want to get better, that's the only way I do get better. So I want to applaud you. Most people are very uncomfortable putting their work product up and saying,
thank
beat
you.
it up. And
Yeah,
in my opinion, of all the skills you could be good at sales, that's the one that matters the most. Like, we are all still learning. You said it in the beginning of this podcast. We are all still learning. The second we think we know everything is the second we start to get ineffective.
I cannot agree more with that, Jen. The last question I have for you is just what is a tactical one tip, like what one task that we can start applying today?
So if I can give you if I can give a tip that we haven't talked about so far, ask the executive at your company to show you their inbox. Reason being, and
Wow.
they might need to pull some things out that they don't want people to see, which is
Yeah.
fine. But I think we aren't in the shoes of a buyer. We don't see like the "I hope you're well" thing. We don't see that because no one's emailing us saying "I hope you're well." We're always just being told to do shit. So ask them to see and ask them on an ongoing basis and then say, "What like is there any email that really stood out to you for good reason?" We have access to people within our organizations often that do the role that we're reaching out to, and we don't tap them. And more often than not, they're happy to do it because it's like one of those things that executives love complaining about. So I think be really curious around what does it look like for the customer on the receiving end.
Mm.
Find a happy customer. If like you're selling into hotels and you don't have anybody at your company that like works in a hotel, ask a happy customer, hey, could you show me what your inbox looks like? Just so I understand like what we're competing with in terms of time and capacity.
I will ask my manager that and see you later. Thank you so much, Jen, for your time,
Thank
for your
you.
insights. And it's time to close today's episode. There's so much that was delivered today. Some of my notes are that subject line and pretext of the email takes around 3 seconds for someone to judge if we're going to be open or not, and then 9 seconds to go through the email. So what can we show in those 9 seconds and 3 seconds? And also the problem, the negative consequence, and then the solution. Thank you so much, Jen, again for all of this, for your time. And it's time to finish to this episode. So, like I always say, remember everyone, let's keep learning, keep growing, and let's continue improving the world of customer success. Until next time.